In the heart of a lush valley, surrounded by rolling hills and dense forests, lay the village of Nkrumah. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, and the villagers lived in harmony with nature. Among them were Amina and Kofi, a couple known for their kindness and simplicity. Amina, with her radiant smile and gentle demeanor, was loved by all. Kofi, a humble farmer, worked tirelessly in the fields, providing for his family with pride. Their home was modest, but filled with warmth and love. Each morning, Amina would rise with the sun, her laughter echoing through the village as she prepared breakfast. Kofi would join her, his eyes twinkling with affection as they shared stories and dreams. Despite their modest means, they were content, finding joy in the simple pleasures of life. However, as the seasons changed, so did Kofi's heart. He began to envy the wealth of the village chief, whose opulent lifestyle stood in stark contrast to their humble existence. The seeds of discontent were sown, and Kofi's longing for riches grew stronger with each passing day. Kofi's envy gnawed at him like a relentless beast. He would often find himself staring at the chief's grand house, adorned with gold and precious stones, wondering why fate had not favored him with such fortune. Amina noticed the change in her husband. His once cheerful demeanor was replaced by a brooding silence, and his eyes, once filled with love, now held a distant, troubled look. One evening, as they sat by the fire, Amina gently placed her hand on Kofi's. "What troubles you, my love?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. Kofi sighed, unable to meet her gaze. "I want more for us, Amina. I want us to live like the chief, to have wealth and comfort." Amina's heart ached for her husband. She knew that wealth could not buy happiness, but she also understood his desire to provide a better life for them. "We have each other, Kofi. That is more valuable than all the riches in the world," she said softly. But Kofi's mind was made up. He would find a way to attain the wealth he so desperately craved, no matter the cost. Determined to change their fate, Kofi sought out the village's most feared and respected figure, the sorcerer. The sorcerer lived in a secluded hut deep within the forest, surrounded by an aura of mystery and power. Kofi approached the hut with trepidation, his heart pounding in his chest. The sorcerer, an old man with piercing eyes and a voice that seemed to echo from the depths of the earth, listened to Kofi's plea. "I can grant you the wealth you desire," the sorcerer said, his voice a mere whisper. "But it comes with a price. Are you willing to pay it?" Kofi, blinded by his greed, nodded without hesitation. The sorcerer handed him a scroll with intricate symbols and instructions for a ritual to be performed under the full moon. "Sacrifice a white goat and recite these incantations," the sorcerer instructed. "But remember, the wealth you seek will come with a curse." Kofi's hands trembled as he took the scroll. He thanked the sorcerer and hurried back to the village, his mind racing with thoughts of the riches that awaited him. Little did he know, the price of his greed would be far greater than he could ever imagine. The night of the full moon arrived, casting an eerie glow over the village. Kofi, clutching the scroll tightly, made his way to a secluded clearing in the forest. The air was thick with anticipation as he prepared for the ritual. He had procured a white goat, its eyes wide with fear, and tied it to a stake in the ground. With trembling hands, Kofi began to recite the incantations from the scroll. The words felt foreign on his tongue, and a chill ran down his spine as he spoke them aloud. The forest seemed to come alive with whispers and shadows, and Kofi's heart raced with a mix of fear and excitement. As he completed the final incantation, he raised a knife and sacrificed the goat, its blood soaking into the earth. Suddenly, the ground beneath him trembled and a blinding light enveloped the clearing. When the light faded, Kofi found himself surrounded by piles of gold and precious gems. His heart swelled with triumph, but a nagging sense of dread lingered in the back of his mind. Kofi returned home, his arms laden with riches. Amina's eyes widened in shock and disbelief as she saw the wealth he had brought. "Where did you get all this?" she asked, her voice trembling. Kofi avoided her gaze, mumbling something about a stroke of luck. Amina's joy was tempered by a sense of unease, but she chose to trust her husband. In the days that followed, Amina began to notice subtle changes in her vision. At first, it was just a slight blurriness, but it soon became more pronounced. She struggled to see the details of the world around her, and simple tasks became increasingly difficult. Kofi, preoccupied with his newfound wealth, failed to notice his wife's growing distress. One morning, as Amina tried to prepare breakfast, she accidentally knocked over a pot of boiling water. The searing pain brought tears to her eyes, and she realized with horror that she could barely see. Kofi rushed to her side, his heart sinking as he saw the fear in her eyes. "We need to see the healer," Kofi said, his voice filled with urgency. But the healer's remedies proved ineffective, and Amina's condition continued to worsen. Kofi's guilt grew with each passing day, but he couldn't bring himself to confess the truth to Amina. As Amina's vision faded, she also began to experience other troubling symptoms. She felt a deep, aching pain in her abdomen and realized that she could no longer bear children. The once joyful home was now filled with sorrow and despair, and Kofi's heart was heavy with regret. Amina's blindness and barrenness took a toll on her spirit. She felt like a burden to Kofi, and the once vibrant woman became a shadow of her former self. Kofi, consumed by guilt, tried to make amends by showering her with gifts and comforts, but nothing could ease her suffering. The villagers, once envious of their wealth, now whispered behind their backs. Rumors spread about the source of their riches and the curse that had befallen Amina. Kofi's shame grew, and he became increasingly isolated from the community. One evening, as they sat in silence, Amina reached out and took Kofi's hand. "I know something is wrong, Kofi," she said softly. "Please, tell me the truth." Kofi's heart ached as he looked into her sightless eyes. He knew he could no longer keep the secret from her. With a heavy heart, Kofi confessed everything: the ritual, the sorcerer's warning, and the curse that had befallen them. Amina listened in stunned silence, her heart breaking with each word. When Kofi finished, tears streamed down her face, but she did not turn away from him. "I forgive you, Kofi," she said, her voice trembling. "But we must find a way to lift this curse. We cannot live like this." Kofi, filled with a renewed sense of purpose, vowed to do whatever it took to make things right. Determined to lift the curse, Kofi and Amina sought out the sorcerer once more. The journey to the sorcerer's hut was fraught with danger, but they pressed on, driven by their love and desperation. When they finally arrived, the sorcerer listened to their plea with a solemn expression. "The curse can be lifted," the sorcerer said, "but it will not be easy. You must gather 3 rare herbs and perform a series of cleansing rituals. Only then will Amina's sight be restored, and the curse lifted." Kofi and Amina exchanged determined glances. They knew the journey ahead would be arduous, but they were willing to face any challenge to reclaim their lives. With the sorcerer's instructions in hand, they set out on their quest, their hearts filled with hope and resolve. The sorcerer's instructions were clear but daunting. Kofi and Amina needed to find 3 rare herbs: the moonflower, the fire leaf, and the heartroot. Each herb had unique properties and grew in different perilous locations. The sorcerer warned them that the journey would test their strength, courage, and love. Their first destination was the moonflower, which only bloomed under the light of the full moon in the deepest part of the forest. Armed with determination and a small bag of provisions, Kofi and Amina set off on their journey. The forest was dense and dark, with shadows that seemed to move and whisper. As they ventured deeper, the forest grew more menacing. The trees loomed overhead, their branches twisting like skeletal fingers. Strange sounds echoed through the underbrush, and the air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. Amina, though blind, relied on her heightened senses and Kofi's guidance to navigate the treacherous terrain. The journey through the forest was fraught with danger. They encountered wild animals, venomous snakes, and treacherous paths that seemed to lead nowhere. Kofi's resolve was tested as he fought off predators and guided Amina through the dense undergrowth. Despite the challenges, Amina's unwavering faith in Kofi gave him the strength to press on. One night, as they camped under the stars, Amina heard a rustling in the bushes. Kofi grabbed a stick, ready to defend them, but to their surprise, a small, injured deer emerged. Amina, with her gentle touch, tended to the deer's wounds, and it seemed to understand their plight. The deer led them to a hidden path, which brought them closer to their destination. As the full moon rose, they finally reached a clearing where the moonflower bloomed. Its petals glowed with an ethereal light, illuminating the darkness around them. Kofi carefully plucked the flower, feeling a sense of hope and accomplishment. They had overcome the first challenge, but their journey was far from over. With the moonflower safely in their possession, Kofi and Amina set their sights on the next herb, the fire leaf. This herb grew only on the highest peaks of the Fire Mountain, a treacherous and active volcano. The journey to the mountain was long and arduous, but they pressed on, driven by their love and determination. The climb up the mountain was grueling. The air grew thin, and the ground beneath their feet was unstable. Kofi struggled to find safe footholds, while Amina clung to him, trusting his every move. The heat from the volcano was intense, and they had to navigate through streams of molten lava and clouds of ash. As they neared the summit, they encountered a group of mountain dwellers who warned them of the dangers ahead. The villagers spoke of fiery spirits that guarded the fire leaf, and many who had attempted to retrieve it had never returned. Undeterred, Kofi and Amina continued their ascent, knowing that their only hope lay in obtaining the herb. The final leg of their journey took them to the River of Souls, where the heartroot grew. This river was known for its treacherous currents and the spirits that haunted its waters. Kofi and Amina had to build a raft to cross the river, a task that tested their ingenuity and teamwork. As they navigated the river, they were confronted by the spirits of those who had perished in its depths. The spirits tried to lure them into the water with promises of safety and riches. But Amina's unwavering faith and Kofi's determination kept them focused on their goal. They managed to reach the other side, where the heartroot grew in abundance. With all three herbs in their possession, Kofi and Amina made their way back to the sorcerer. The journey had tested their limits, but it had also strengthened their bond and deepened their love for each other. They were ready to face the final challenge and lift the curse that had plagued their lives. Back at the sorcerer's hut, Kofi and Amina presented the herbs. The sorcerer prepared a powerful potion using the moonflower, fireleaf, and heartroot. The air was thick with anticipation as the sorcerer chanted incantations and mixed the ingredients. Amina drank the potion, and a warm, soothing sensation spread through her body. Slowly, her vision began to return, and she could see the world around her once more. Though her sight was not fully restored, it was enough to fill her with hope and gratitude. Kofi, too, felt a sense of relief and joy, knowing that their efforts had not been in vain. However, the sorcerer warned them that the curse was not fully lifted. There was still one final task they needed to complete to break the curse entirely. Kofi and Amina braced themselves for the ultimate challenge, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The sorcerer instructed Kofi and Amina to seek out the Village of Wisdom, where the elders held the knowledge needed to complete the final ritual. The village was located deep in the mountains, and the journey there was fraught with peril. As they traveled, Kofi and Amina encountered various challenges that tested their resolve. They faced harsh weather, treacherous terrain, and encounters with wild animals. Despite the difficulties, they pressed on, driven by their love and determination to lift the curse. When they finally reached the Village of Wisdom, they were welcomed by the elders, who listened to their story with great interest. The elders revealed that the final ritual required a rare gemstone known as the Heart of the Mountain, which was hidden deep within a sacred cave. Kofi and Amina knew that this would be their greatest challenge yet, but they were determined to succeed. The journey to the sacred cave took them across a vast, unforgiving desert. The scorching sun beat down on them, and the sand seemed to stretch endlessly in all directions. Kofi and Amina struggled to find water and shelter, but their love for each other kept them going. One night, as they camped under the stars, Amina shared a dream she had. In her dream, she saw a hidden oasis where they could find the strength to continue their journey. Kofi, inspired by her vision, led them in the direction she described. After days of wandering, they finally stumbled upon the oasis. It was a lush, green paradise in the middle of the desert, with cool, clear water and abundant food. They rested and regained their strength, knowing that the final leg of their journey was just ahead. At the oasis, Kofi and Amina encountered a wise old hermit who had lived there for many years. The hermit listened to their story and offered them guidance for the final part of their journey. He told them of the dangers that lay ahead and the importance of staying true to their purpose. With the hermit's blessings, Kofi and Amina set off once more, their spirits renewed. They knew that the sacred cave was close, and they were determined to find the heart of the mountain and complete the final ritual. As they approached the sacred cave, they entered a grove protected by ancient spirits. The grove was filled with an otherworldly light, and the air was thick with magic. Kofi and Amina had to prove their worthiness to the spirits by demonstrating their love and commitment to each other. The spirits tested them with various challenges, each one designed to test their resolve and faith. Kofi and Amina faced these challenges together, drawing strength from their love and determination. In the end, they proved themselves worthy, and the spirits granted them passage to the sacred cave. Inside the sacred cave, Kofi and Amina found the heart of the mountain, a gemstone that glowed with an inner light. The cave was filled with an eerie silence, and the air was thick with anticipation. Kofi carefully retrieved the gemstone, knowing that this was the key to lifting the curse. With the heart of the mountain in hand, they made their way back to the village of wisdom. The elders prepared the final ritual, using the gemstone and the herbs they had gathered. As the ritual began, Kofi and Amina felt a sense of hope and anticipation, knowing that their journey was finally coming to an end. The journey back to the sorcerer was filled with reflection and anticipation. Kofi and Amina had faced countless challenges and grown stronger together. They were eager to complete the final ritual and lift the curse that had plagued their lives. As they traveled, they encountered familiar faces and places, each one reminding them of how far they had come. The villagers, once skeptical and fearful, now looked upon them with admiration and respect. Kofi and Amina felt a sense of pride and accomplishment, knowing that their journey had not been in vain. Back at the sorcerer's hut, Kofi and Amina presented the heart of the mountain. The sorcerer prepared the final ritual, using the gemstone and the herbs they had gathered. The air was thick with anticipation as the sorcerer chanted incantations and mixed the ingredients. Amina drank the potion, and a warm, soothing sensation spread through her body. Though her sight was not fully restored, it was enough to fill her with hope and gratitude. Kofi, too, felt a sense of relief and joy, knowing that their efforts had not been in vain. Kofi and Amina braced themselves for the ultimate challenge, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Returning to the village with Amina's improved vision brought mixed reactions. Some villagers were overjoyed and welcomed them back with open arms, while others remained wary, still haunted by the rumors of the curse. Kofi and Amina shared their story, hoping to inspire others with their journey of love and redemption. Despite the lingering doubts, the couple found solace in each other and the progress they had made. They knew that the final task lay ahead, and they were determined to see it through. The village elders offered their support and blessings, knowing that Kofi and Amina's success would bring peace to the entire community. As Amina's vision continued to improve, she began to notice subtle changes in Kofi. He seemed more distant and troubled, as if carrying a heavy burden. Amina's growing suspicion led her to investigate the sorcerer's true intentions and the full extent of the curse. Through her inquiries, Amina discovered that the sorcerer had a dark past and had used his powers for personal gain. She learned that the curse was not just a consequence of Kofi's greed, but a deliberate act by the sorcerer to exact revenge on those who sought his help. Amina's heart ached with the realization that their suffering was part of a larger, more sinister plan. Determined to uncover the truth, Amina confronted the sorcerer. The sorcerer, caught off guard by her newfound strength and resolve, admitted to his deceit. He revealed that the final task required Kofi to make the ultimate sacrifice to break the curse completely. Amina's confrontation with the sorcerer was intense and emotional. She demanded that he lift the curse without requiring Kofi's life, but the sorcerer insisted that the curse could only be broken through sacrifice. Amina's heart was torn between her love for Kofi and the need to end their suffering. Kofi, realizing the gravity of the situation, stepped forward and offered himself willingly. He knew that his actions had brought this curse upon them, and he was determined to make things right. Amina's pleas for another way fell on deaf ears, and she watched in anguish as Kofi prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice. The final ritual was performed under the light of the full moon. Kofi stood in the center of the clearing, surrounded by the villagers who had come to witness the event. The sorcerer chanted incantations, and the air was thick with tension and sorrow. As the ritual reached its climax, Kofi looked into Amina's eyes one last time. "I love you, Amina," he whispered, his voice filled with emotion. "Remember me and live a life free from this curse." With those words, Kofi made the ultimate sacrifice, and the curse was lifted. Amina's heart shattered as she watched Kofi's lifeless body fall to the ground. The villagers mourned the loss of a brave and selfless man, and Amina was left to pick up the pieces of her shattered life. Though the curse was lifted, the price they had paid was immeasurable. In the days that followed, Amina struggled to come to terms with Kofi's sacrifice. The village, now free from the curse, began to heal and rebuild. Amina found solace in the support of her friends and the memories of the love she and Kofi had shared. Though her heart was heavy with grief, Amina knew that Kofi's sacrifice had not been in vain. She vowed to honor his memory by living a life filled with kindness and compassion, sharing their story to prevent others from making the same mistakes. Amina became a respected elder in the village, known for her wisdom and strength. She shared her story with the younger generations, teaching them the value of love, sacrifice, and the dangers of greed. The village prospered under her guidance, and the memory of Kofi's sacrifice lived on in the hearts of the people. Though Amina's life was forever changed by the events that had transpired, she found peace in knowing that Kofi's love and sacrifice had brought about a brighter future for their village. She lived the rest of her days with a heart full of gratitude and a spirit unbroken by the trials she had faced. Years had passed since Kofi's sacrifice, and the village of Nkrumah had flourished under Amina's wise guidance. The once humble village had grown into a thriving community, known far and wide for its harmony and prosperity. Amina, now an elder, was revered for her wisdom and the strength she had shown in the face of adversity. One sunny morning, as Amina sat under the ancient baobab tree that stood at the heart of the village, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here. The memories of Kofi's love and sacrifice were etched deeply in her heart, and she found solace in knowing that his actions had paved the way for a brighter future. The village children often gathered around Amina, eager to hear her stories. She spoke of the importance of love, the dangers of greed, and the power of sacrifice. Her tales were filled with lessons that resonated with the young and old alike, ensuring that the wisdom of the past would guide future generations. One day, a young girl named Nia approached Amina with a question that had been on her mind. "Elder Amina," she asked, "do you ever regret the journey you and Kofi took to lift the curse?" Amina smiled gently, her eyes filled with a mixture of sorrow and joy. "Regret is a heavy burden, my dear," she replied. "While the journey was filled with pain and loss, it also brought us closer together and taught us invaluable lessons. Kofi's sacrifice was not in vain, for it brought peace and prosperity to our village. I carry his memory with me, and it gives me strength." As the sun set over the village, casting a golden glow over the fields and homes, Amina felt a sense of peace. She knew that Kofi's spirit watched over them, and his legacy lived on in the hearts of the villagers. The curse had been lifted, but the lessons learned would endure for generations to come. And so the village of Nkrumah continued to thrive, guided by the wisdom of its elders and the enduring love of Amina and Kofi. Their story became a beacon of hope and a reminder that even in the darkest of times, love and sacrifice could light the way to a brighter future.
Follow this page or subscribe to this channel for more stories.